Hey, how we doing? Dominique Lee here. Excited for our time together. This time we're talking about engaging young adults in mission and exactly how do we do that. And so I got 10 things that I want to suggest that we ought to be doing if we're going to engage young adults in mission. So you got how we understand them, how we uh, engage them, how do we reach them, how we teach them. But now we're talking about excuse me. Now we're talking about how do we engage them in mission. So we're going from uh, uh, understanding who they are to getting their attention to instructing them biblically to now calling them to be on mission with the gospel. And so the first thing I would say we need to do if we're going to engage young adults on mission is this. Speak missions 24/7. Missions has to be in all of our communication, in every sermon, in every small group time. Everything that we do should end with mission. That everything we've said and we've done, we talked about, is for the sake of seeing disciples of Christ made in our cities, in our country, in the world, and throughout the nations. That we have to speak the language of, hey, missions, that we are not called to just sit in our hands and hope that somebody will preach the gospel, but we need to be God's ambassadors of Christ in our world, in our neighborhood, at our schools, at our grocery stores, right? And so we need to speak mission 24/7. We should never let our young adults not know how to engage in mission activity. We want to make sure that we tell them, hey, essential to your identity as a Christ follower is to go into all the world and make disciples. So one, we have to be intentional about speaking and reminding young adults of what mission work looks like. So speak missions 24/7. Number two, do not make missions program. Do not make missions a program. Now, here's what I mean by that. You can have prayer walks, you can have outreaches, you can have VBSs and carnivals. Those are awesome things. What I mean by don't make it a program is don't let it stop there. Don't let young adults get accustomed to, well, we're doing mission when the church organizes an event and we're supposed to wear our t-shirt at and we're supposed to come and tell people about Jesus at. Now, that's crucially important and a great way to start. We want to move our people, our young adults, from programming to living their lives as missionaries. And so don't make missions a program, but make missions manageable for everyday life. Now, this may cause you to say, hey, we're not doing this program, or it may cause you to shift how you do mission engagement in your community and in your city. For example, we're going to do a VBS in our church, and that's a great ministry. And we still plan to do one for the kids immediately in our community that aren't connected to a church at all. But I think the most effective thing we decided was to have our young adult families to get the kids, their children's friends, and their peers, and the kids on their sports team who don't go to a church anywhere, and invite them over for a family version of VBS. They'll have a Bible time, a game time, a snack time, a craft time, and invite the families and the parents to stay there during that time and get to know the families and the parents and pray for them and love on them. So we want to make it more intentional than just having a big program and just seeing a lot of people show up. We want to make it, how can we be actually intentional about being evangelistic and actually being more intentional about loving on people that are already around us. And so don't make it simply a program, but if you do, like, scale it back and make it personal. Don't just let the church host the big thing, but empower your young adults to be the ones to actually lead those things, to think out of the box with those things, and also to be the ones that say, hey, we're going to make this super personal and super intentional and go beyond making it just simply a scheduled program on the church calendar. Number three, this goes hand in hand with number two, teach them to be missionaries. We have to teach our young adults how to be missionaries. If we're going to do that, we have to model for them what it means to be missionaries. And a part of that is breaking the ice of what it means to be to live like missionaries, right? Because we hear, well, you need to evangelize, you need to talk about the gospel, you need to share your faith with people. And what our young adults hear is, hey, you need to go out, explain the gospel to everybody you see, right? And you need to win them to Christ and ensure they're going to get saved at the first conversation. Well, a lot of times it doesn't happen like that, right? Now, God can do whatever he wants to do. He can save instantaneously, but oftentimes God uses a process. And so we have to help them understand, hey, we're not saying go out and win everybody and be perfect at evangelism. We're saying go out and where you are, live your faith out, love, serve, champion Jesus, show Christ, and proclaim Christ. So we have to teach them then what it means to be a missionary. Teach them what it means to be aware of who lives in their community. Teach them what it means to be aware of their kids' classmates. Teach them to be aware of the people who live next door to them. That missionaries don't just do programs. They live their life praying for people, getting to know people, using the common thing God put in their life with their neighbors and friends to then champion the gospel in their life. And that goes way beyond just doing a program, but it happens as we teach our young adults that, hey, your identity is a disciple-making follower of Christ. And so part of your identity is making disciples, and that means you have to be a missionary everywhere you go. And so let's not be afraid to tell them, hey, you need to live like a missionary. You can be a missionary right in your neighborhood. You can prayer walk your neighborhood. You can map out your neighborhood and be intentional about how can we use what God's given us as a family or as a single person to love those in my immediate surroundings. So don't let them just rely on scheduled programs, but teach them to live like, think like, talk like, and do things like missionaries. And also, again, we have to show them what that looks like. So that may mean we have to have them come to a neighborhood Bible study that you're hosting at your house. That may mean you need to have them go with you to Starbucks and watch you have a gospel conversation. That may mean they need to read a book about it. But whatever it is, we have to model for them what it means to not just show up for a church program, but to actually live like missionaries in everyday life. When it comes to engaging young adults in mission, let young adults lead those missions and also let them recruit their peers to be a part of those missions. So if you're doing some kind of family event or you need volunteers for a VBS, hey, tap into your young adults and let them recruit their friends, the people in their small group to tag along for those things. Say, hey, we need volunteers. The church needs volunteers. Would you come and serve? I'm not saying get people outside of the church to come serve at the church function. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is young adults in your church are connected to other young adults in your church. And so use them to recruit, to communicate, and to lead some of those mission projects. Who better to love single mom than a single mom? Who better to love on a soccer team except a parent or a young adult who is a part of soccer somehow? And so we want to empower them to not just follow us, but to also take the lead and to recruit and to champion the vision of the mission that we engage in as a church and as individuals. Again, older people in our churches are super indispensable. And so as we engage young adults on mission, we need to partner them with older members of our church. Because what that does, it helps them to have relationships with other people in our church. It builds unity, but at the same time, there's a discipleship element even in having them partner with older people in the church. And so as we engage them in mission, train them up to do mission, we should always keep them in contact with more mature Christians who've been a part of missions work for a long time, who know the do's and don'ts of mission work, and who can walk alongside them and encourage them as we engage them in mission work. And older people have a lot of wisdom, a lot of life experience. They can help us not have so many bumps and bruises. And so even in mission, find those older men who have a passion for tree removal or for disaster relief ministry, and let them partner up with some young adults and say, hey, we're going to bring you along and show you how to do this. And hey, the result and the purpose is for Christ to be glorified. And so again, tap into the older people in your church if you're going to engage young people, young adults in healthy mission in your church. Another big thing, start small and be consistent. Start small and be consistent. It's super easy for young adults to think, okay, we have to have this big grand thing and we have to, it's going to be exhausting and it won't be fun and it'll be, running around with kids or whatever it might be. But start it small and stay consistent. So maybe you need to partner with a local Boys and Girls Club or partner with a local homeless shelter or a local senior adult home. And maybe you just go there, one Saturday every month and do the same thing, serve a meal, play a card game, sing some songs for them, maybe do a devotional. Maybe you do that once a month for a year with young adults in your church. That way it's small, it's manageable, but it's also consistent. We want to make sure that we're engaging them in mission by not just calling them to the big trip overseas, but also in the small ways. Hey, you can start even within your church, right? If you have older people in your church who need their grass cut, hey, find those young men and say, hey, we're going to cut grass today. Make it simple. Don't make it too broad for them, but make sure you're doing it consistently. So if you have young adults engaging in missions once every 6 years, we're probably not going to have effective young adult missions ministry, right? But if we're constantly having them serve in the church, constantly having them go out with us, and we're making those things small and manageable, I think we'll get better results from young adults in our church for sure as it pertains to engaging them in mission. Number 7, I said it with number 6, maybe pick a year-long project. And say, hey, this is our project for the entire year for our young adult ministry, and we're going to love this place, love this school, love this whatever it is, this business for the entire year, and start there that way. Again, it's consistent and it's manageable for the big one for young adults, especially that college age, that new young family age. Make them open their wallets. Make them open their wallets. And once you make them open their wallets, show them what their giving accomplished. Show them what their giving accomplished. We don't want them to think that we just want you to give money, give money, give money. But when it comes to mission and engagement in mission, we have to be bold to say, hey, you need to give to this and make it a family practice to give to this. So you can do that in different ways. Have them sponsor a missionary. Have them sponsor, a backpack program at schools. Have them sponsor something, but ask them to give not only of their time and their energy, but also from their wallet, because that's a way of discipling them, but also a way of engaging them in mission in a very deeper way, and that brings deeper commitment when we're asking them to give financially towards the mission. So don't be afraid to say, hey, we need you to give this amount for this mission's emphasis, or we need you to help sponsor so-and-so missionary in this country or in this city. Make young adults open their wallets and show them what they're giving accomplished for the glory of God. This is one of the biggest things we can teach them is faithful giving. Our generation is just not as faithful as the past ones were about giving. And so we need to be sure to tell them, open their wallets to give generously and consistently, but then showing them what their money accomplished, again, to the glory of God. Number 9, make sure we make missions about God and his glory and not about young adults. Make sure we focus on missions as for the glory of God and not for the benefit or for the feel-goodness of young adults or anybody for that reason. Tell them the reason why we do mission is for that the glory of God, the gospel of God might go out into all the earth. Elevate God, not how much we need them, not even less important, not how much we're dependent upon them, but elevate the beauty of the gospel as they've seen it in their life, the beauty of the cross, and that missions empowers us and enables us to continue to champion the legacy of the gospel. I say that time in my church all the time. The gospel went from Jerusalem to Knoxville, Tennessee. I'm from New York originally, got saved in New York City. The gospel went from Jerusalem to the Bronx, New York, where Christ found me. And so when we elevate the beauty and the legacy of the gospel, we elevate that God is the center. The gospel is the center of mission work and not us. And I think that will encourage young adults to be faithful, to be on mission for the glory of God. Lastly, let them share testimony about what God has done in their heart, in their life, in their family as they were on mission. We want to be able to show them that God is working in your life when you engage in mission work. And it's important how God is working in your life. So let them have a chance to share what God taught them, what God showed them, how God broke their heart, maybe for somebody special, even how God made a divine connection with someone as they engaged in mission work. So speak mission 24/7. Don't make it a program. Teach them to be missionaries. Help them, let them recruit and lead mission projects. Get other adults involved who are older. Start small, but be consistent. Make them open their wallets. Keep God the center of our missions, and let them testify to the goodness and the grace of God as we engage young adults on mission.